It is almost overwhelming because like I said, I literally had no idea how I would take 18 authors, some that had never written before in anything, and turn it into a mission. And I think that is what inspires me the most, is that this isn't about me. I mean, I really don't even talk about my story at all in the book. This was from the beginning about them and sharing their story to help the world. They all, again, I think I've said it, we came from one heart, one goal, one purpose, and a passion to help people is the bottom line of everything about this. And that is what was the trigger, I think, when people saw that, when we finally saw, like, this is really happening. Because, it took a while to get 18 stories written and put together. And when it's now almost feels like a dream come true. Like, how there's only one answer. There's only one answer as to how something like this can happen. And that is through the exact way that it came to me. Because I will say it 1,000 times. It's not me. I'm merely the catalyst for bringing these people together. And now it's coming to fruition. We are getting ready to have a physical book in our hands. And I'm just overjoyed and grateful. And I'm just almost speechless, really. It's been a kind of an emotional journey, because it's just so profound that many people would come together and write these kinds of stories that have never been told before to anyone. They're secrets almost, and that they're putting them in a book to go out to help people in the world to find hope. It's really amazing. It really is.
Okay, everyone, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. I have a new friend who has brought together some amazing authors for a new book. It's coming out. We're going to talk about some amazing stories written by people who have lived some pretty amazing things in their life. And my guest and I have a mutual connection with Dom Damasky, and I'm really excited to have Char Murphy on the podcast with me today. We're going to be talking about the new book, Mission Hope, and all of the great things around the book. And I want to say a quick shout out to Dominic. Dominic, thank you for making this happen. Char, welcome so much to the podcast. I love having you here. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dave. I'm so excited to be here. And hey, Dom. Hey, everybody.
This is great. Awesome. So yes, we talked before we hit record that Living the Next Chapter was created out of a conversation with Dominic, as I connected with him through Clubhouse, and he was asking about having a podcast for authors where the authors would come on and have a great experience. And he liked some of my other podcasts that I was doing. And he said, Dave, there's something we need. Can you create something? And this is how Living the Next Chapter started. So this is all Dominic's fault, just so you know.
Wow. Dominic, thank you so much. And Dave, right. Thanks for saying yes to 18 authors. That's quite a feat for you.
Right.
Yes, that's amazing. We thank you so much. Very grateful.
It's amazing when I talk to the authors that you have assembled, Char, because they each come with gratitude and love for you for bringing this group together, because they are so grateful for the opportunity to share their story. And when I talk to these authors from around the world, they are connecting with each other, and you have built a community of not just a book. The book is amazing. I'm so proud to be part of promoting your book and helping to connect with these authors. But the book is one thing. The community is another thing. And I'm so amazed at the people that you've been able to pull together for this. And I would love to hear you talk about your authors, and I would love for you to celebrate them at the beginning of our podcast episode. What is so exciting to you about meeting these great people?
Wow. I tell you what, I think that it's totally, what you're saying is so totally true. It really does bring tears to my eyes, because I had no idea when I started this out. It was a sort of a divinely orchestrated thing, where, I was thinking, what does the world need now more than ever? Besides love, of course, but hope. We really need hope. So I started thinking about people who would have a story that could give other people hope, something that they had been through in their lives that they may never have had a chance to even write their chapter in a book, or be on a podcast even. And they were so excited to be able to just write their story and give people hope from their heart. And these are their deep, deep stories. A lot of them have never been shared before. And they really, the community, I myself could not have put it together any better myself. I can't take the credit, because when I got the little proverbial tap on the shoulder from my higher guidance, if we'll put it that way, the question came and said, "Are you ready for this?" And I said, "Sure, okay." And I had no idea. I just started asking people if they wanted to write their story and give hope to other people, gave them a few guidelines, and then it just, every single story that I got that started coming into me to read and to pre-edit and things like that, I was literally just blown away, because they are so incredibly real, down to earth, not about what they have been through, as in, oh, I'm so good, I was able to do this type thing, but grateful, as you said, just grateful that they have been able to overcome these kinds of difficulties and then come together as a group and share. So they all have that in common with each other, is that they've all, that, and just so you know, they have not read each other's stories yet.
Wow.
So if you really want to talk about synchronization, just the synergy in this community, it has to be divinely orchestrated, because there's no way I could have put it together myself. And I asked from the very beginning, I will do this, but you bring the right people forward at the right time. And it happened. It happened. Wow. I cannot take credit. I really cannot. I would like to, but I can't. And they've all been so incredibly, anything I've asked for or said we need to do, it's done. I don't have to go back and, remind them for things, or when Dom and I were clicking along and I needed things from them, or, whatever it is, they're there. and they're doing it, and they doing it with an open, beautiful. These hearts are just. It's one heart, one book, one heart, one. I'm just almost overwhelmed with joy and gratitude for this group of people that has opened up to share, to help other people. That's the whole thing right there in a nutshell. I cannot say enough about these authors.
Yeah.
Really. They, and some of them, like I said, have never even written a chapter in a book, even attempted to.
Yeah.
And they did it. They did it. They found a way to do it. And they're beautiful. Just beautiful.
So I heard you mentioned our mutual friend, Dom, there in your response. Tell me about how Dominic Damasky, we can kind of gush on Dom for a minute because we both love and admire this gentleman.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me what
Absolutely.
Dominic has done for you in the creation of the book, but beyond that as well. How has Dominic showed up for you in helping you, Char?
Oh, my goodness. Dominic Damasky to me is, and I'm not just saying this because he's going to listen. I mean, he knows, because I've said it before. And he's like a knight. I mean, he's just like I don't even have a word for a person like Dominic, but he came into my life. There's not a word big enough for him, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, and I'm a wordsmith. I love writing, but there's not a word. He is just amazing, just absolutely amazing. And to put up with me, he's something else. But this has been 4 or 5 years ago now. When I was very first on LinkedIn, and I get, I wasn't used to people reaching out, asking me questions about what I do or anything, but I had put a little bit about my own personal story of overcoming breast cancer 4 times and some other things. And he reached out to me and said, "Why aren't you a published author?" Because I said I was a writer, which I am. And he said, "Why aren't you a published author?" He said, "Your story is unbelievable. You need to tell your story. It's going to help a lot of people." And so I did a book kind of like what I'm doing now with these 18 authors. It was Power Up Superwomen. That was the first book that I did, and it was with Dom. And then I did another one with a group out of UK. And then, of course, he published my book, Unshakable Power. Yeah, the Power Up Superwomen was the first one I did, and with Dominic. And yeah, it was great. I think we had 15 or so authors, all women. And it was kind of a similar thing, but not about hope, but about overcoming adversity. So all the author women had things that we had overcome, and we wrote about those in a chapter. And then, of course, I did another collaborative effort, and then it was, onto my own book. And that one is Unshakable Power Through Seasons of the Soul. And Dominic, we were really, back to Dominic. He literally held my hand through the whole thing. Because I had no idea what I was doing. I just was writing from my heart, and I would send it to him, and he would, make a few suggestions, and we worked together, and made it happen. And it was fun because of him. And, I learned a lot, from him about working with people and helping them encourage their writing, and how to tell their story, and and he's just, I can't say enough good things about him. Again, I'm just so grateful to Dominic Demaski, because I would not be here right now with you talking about this if it had not been for him. And he literally changed my whole life.
Wow. Well, there you go. Right.
Right.
And what I love about Dominic, every time I've interacted with this gentleman, he's a genuine person. And there was one time where my wife and I were struggling. He knew about it, and he called to talk to my wife and I on the phone. Like, who does that, right?
Right.
He took time out of his day to reach out to make sure we were okay.
Yeah.
Because he had love and concern for us. And there's a lack of that, Char, in the world.
Exactly.
Right? And
yes.
I want to celebrate that. And I know Dom's going to be like, guys.
Yeah, right.
But,
he is.
But when somebody does something outstanding, it's hard not to notice. And it's hard not to acknowledge it. So
exactly.
for what Dom's doing, I find that outstanding. But Char, what you're doing is outstanding in the fact that even though it might feel like it's something small, what you've done with these 18 authors is pull these people together who probably would never cross paths otherwise, create a book all around the idea of helping people and focusing on a mission of hope in a world where people are so quick to identify what makes us different and why I might be better than someone else because of my belief or my history or my status. Your book and your efforts are doing the exact opposite. And I'm so connected with the theme for your book and your obedience to obey the tap on the shoulder that this has to happen. Like you could say no to that and continue on doing what you do, which is great, but you were obedient in that moment, and now here we are. So
yeah.
How do you feel now that the book is coming together and everything's all falling into place? What came from an idea to reality? What inspires you about the process of doing this?
Wow. It is almost overwhelming, because it, like I said, I literally had no idea how I would take 18 authors, some that had never written before in anything, and turn it into a mission. And I think that is what inspires me the most, is that this isn't about me. I mean, I really don't even talk about my story at all in the book. This was from the beginning about them and sharing their story to help the world. They all, again, I think I've said we came from one heart, one goal, one purpose, and a passion to help people is the bottom line of everything about this. And that is what was the trigger, I think, when people saw that, we finally saw, like, this is really happening. Because, it took a while to get 18 stories written and put together. And when it's now it almost feels like a dream come true, like how there's only one answer. There's only one answer as to how something like this can happen. And that is through the exact way that it came to me. Because I will say it 1,000 times. It's not me. I'm merely the catalyst for bringing these people together. And it inspires me so much that it is now, Mission Hope is going to be a series. We have a series of books now.
Wow.
Which,
wow.
Well, and there'll be probably 4 or 5 more books around faith, which hope and faith go hand in hand, really. And there were some people that didn't get in this book that wanted to be in it. And so I'm going to combine kind of hope and faith because they really do work hand in hand. And we'll go from there into love, joy, gratitude, some other things, in the series later. But the next one will be hope and faith. So it's all under the umbrella of Mission Hope. So we're still giving hope through, and faith, how that comes into play with hope. And basically I saw a drawing one time of a cat holding on to this like thin golden string just out from nowhere, sort of. And the cat was just holding on like above an ocean or whatever. You just are holding on to something that you have no idea what is going to happen next. And you have faith in something that has yet to be seen, which these people, all of them, and me included, had faith. If I hadn't had the faith in the people, that the authors that came forward, and this higher power that initiated everything, if I had not have had faith in that all along, it would not have happened. But I believed in something that had yet to be seen. And now it's coming to fruition. We are getting ready to have a physical book in our hands. And I'm just overjoyed and grateful. And I'm just almost speechless, really. It's it's been a kind of an emotional journey because it's just so profound that many people would come together and write these kinds of stories that have never been told before to anyone. They're secrets almost, and that they're putting them in a book to go out to help people in the world to find hope. It's really amazing. It really is.
I love having contact with your authors and having them on the podcast to talk about each chapter. I'm inspired by these great people, right? And again, the first-time authors, sometimes they're first-time podcast guests. They've never even been on a podcast before.
Right.
And they're coming to the microphone, they're coming to the camera, celebrating the fact that they get to be a part of this. And they seem humbled. They seem a little bit of like, why me kind of feeling a little bit, but then quickly realizing that their story matters.
Exactly.
So Char, if you could talk to somebody listening right now who would love to write a book or be a part of a book like this,
yes,
and they wrestle with, who am I, Char, to share my message? Like, who am I to write a book or to collaborate with a book like you're doing? Does my story really matter? What would you say directly to that listener who's listening to our conversation right now to encourage them to share their story?
Wow, that's a really good question. And actually, it happened with one of these authors. He said to me, "Why me? Why me?" And I said, because I know that there is a story in you that is screaming to get out. And I know it will help other people. But that's all I had to say. And I said, why not you? Why not you? And he stepped up. He's another one he's never written a chapter or anything in his life. And it's amazing to see the transformation that occurs once people get that their story does matter. It really matters. And what, the other thing is that every story is so different. Even though there's that common golden thread that weaves through all of them, that hope, that faith that they could overcome these unimaginable things like losing a spouse or losing your whole family in a short amount of time, and all kinds of things, just abuse, all kinds of abuse. I just am. People need to know it doesn't matter what your story is about, really. It's just that you have a story in you that is valuable and will help somebody, because we've all been through really tough things. We've all been through it. And it can help somebody else to know they are not alone. They may resonate with your story. And that's the thing about this book. There's 18 completely different stories. I guarantee you there's not one person that somebody's story is not going to resonate deeply with and change their life, literally change their life, and know that, okay, you did that? Because some of these people are well known, and we tend to look at people that are very successful and think, oh, they've never been through anything. They've never had a hard time. They have. And there's going to be some stories that people are going to read about some of these people that are very successful, and they are going to see, wow, she's just like me. I'm just like her. And if she can do that, I can do it too. So I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. The depth of someone's story. Yeah, we all do. Even I do sometimes think, well, maybe, yeah, somebody that's going through breast cancer and is really scared for their life. They might get something out of my story and say, wow, she's survived it 4 times. I can, that when you think of cancer or you think of some others, these diseases that we don't have a cure for, really, and that people do survive and go on to thrive.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be cancer. It can be like, these chapters are amazing, and they're all amazing people. I could not have asked for a better gift in my life. I mean, if this is why I was saved, this is truly why I was saved, I believe, is to bring this type of thing forward to help in a bigger way than just my story alone. Because the impact of 18 stories in one book, it's pretty incredible. And it has changed my life. These people have changed my life. And I know that they're going to touch a lot of other people's lives and change them too. And I can't wait.
The one thing that I'm cluing into, Char, when you answered my question about, telling your story and why should we, you echoed almost word for word what Dominic said to you originally.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's really true. Yeah, because it caught me off guard. I didn't know that someone would be interested in me writing my story. I never even thought about it before.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, even being a writer, I never thought about being in it. I mean, yeah, it's always, everybody wants to write a book, right? I mean, most people do. It's just kind of one of those things. People want to write a book. They want to be in a book. They want to tell their stories. But back to the question, we sometimes think, who cares about my story?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's, people do need to know that their stories matter. That's huge. And I think that, I hope that this book will encourage more people just by reading these stories they're not professionally written. They're just people telling their stories in writing,
Mm-hmm.
or on a podcast with you. They're just talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a conversation,
yeah.
and they're telling their story.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And I love how this just began, Char. Like, this was not, how can I write a book and make $1 million? This was, how can I write a book or compile a book to help 1 million people? There's a big difference.
Exactly. And right? Yes, exactly. That from the very beginning, my intentions were never about the money. It was about the service. Yeah. Service. And another good friend of probably yours too, and Dominic's, Harry Spate, that man.
What's the good word?
Oh man, Mr. Dignity, right?
I love Harry. Yes.
Yes. Between he and Dom, they have literally held me up at times during this whole process. But and of course our authors. But yeah, he's helped me quite a bit through this. And you talk about service, that is a man of service. Dominic is a man of service.
Yeah.
This is from the very beginning, even in asking people if they wanted to share their story, I said, this is a labor of love. I'm not in this to make money. This is a service-oriented project. That's all it will ever be. And money is not even, I don't even want to, there's no comparison. I've made a lot of money in my life as an attorney. Mm-hmm. I don't have a lot of money now because through my struggles with breast cancer, I lost my business and lost my home and lost everything pretty much in my life that I knew, except my son, thank God, and my own life. And so that's, I just learned that Cadillacs in the garage or Lexus or whatever you think, and the big houses and the big country club memberships, and nothing matters. None of that really matters when it comes right down to it.
Yeah.
None of it matters.
Yeah.
Not like this. This is the biggest thing really that I've ever done in my life. And again, the credit goes to God.
Yeah. I love it, Char. I love it. So before we close, Char, how would you define the word hope as it relates to this book?
I have a little acronym for hope. It's not a definition, but it's what it means to me.
Nice.
Helping others persevere every day. Hope. Helping others persevere every day. And I wrote that a long time ago. I don't know. It just came to me. And that's been, it's sort of like it's come back full circle now.
Yeah.
That one little acronym that I wrote years ago. And all my writing is about hope and inspiration. All of it is giving hope to others. It's
a great spot to end, Char. It's the end of this episode. It's not the end of our conversation, because I'd love to continue talking with you and follow the journey and be a part of the next book and promote your authors and work together. And again, we have some really amazing people in our corner: Harry Spate, Tom Damasky. Like, there's a reason why we're meant to meet certain people in life, right? And there's 18 people who are meant to meet you, Char. And I know that you want to focus the spotlight on your authors, and I love that. But none of this would have happened without you being responsive to that tap on the shoulder. So you might feel like that's a small part in this big book that's coming out, but it's actually a big part of this book. So on behalf of readers and a podcaster that gets to speak to these amazing authors and to you, you are changing lives with compiling this book, and that needs to be celebrated too and honored. And I want to thank you for being responsive to that. So
thank you, Dave. Thank you.
And I know that's not your heart to draw attention to yourself, but you do need to realize that this would not have happened if you had said no to that prompt. So thank you.
Thank you. I say it all the time, but it's been a privilege and an honor. It absolutely has. A labor of love.
Awesome. So everyone, Char Murphy and her amazing group of 18 authors. The book is called Mission Hope. And we're going to have links to it in the show notes. We're going to have the episodes from the authors who have come on to share their story about their chapter. And again, what I love is these authors also make comments about what Char means to them. And I love hearing the story of how they connected with you, Char, and what this book means to them as authors. So again, thank you for making this possible.
Thank you, Dave. I really, really appreciate you for stepping up and being willing to interview 18 authors plus me. That's pretty amazing and in and of itself. And I really appreciate you for doing this. I'm so grateful.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Char. Everyone, please support this book, support Char, reach out. We'll have links and everything to connect with Char as well. But a kind word and a kind message to Char and the authors would be greatly appreciated. Thank everyone in advance. I'm not asking you to buy it. I'm thanking you for buying this book. Thank you for being part of this, Char. Hey, thanks for being here for the podcast Mission Hope, Thriving Through Seasons of the Soul. Came out March 24th, 2023. 18 amazing authors, all corralled by the amazing Char Murphy. If you need some inspiration in your life, please go to the show notes, follow the links, go purchase the book, gift it to someone, buy copies and leave it in your waiting rooms of businesses or a dentist office. Just go out and buy the book and support these great authors, many first-time authors, first-time podcast guests. A lot of firsts happening here. Char Murphy, thank you. Dominic Damasky, publisher as well from Motivation Champs. Thank you so much for bringing together these amazing people and to have these authors on a podcast here to talk about their chapters is so great. So encouraging you, go out, check out Mission Hope, Thriving Through Seasons of the Soul. Get your copy today. Thanks for being part of the podcast. Catch you on the next one.
Mindshift Power Podcast, the podcast for teenagers and those who work with them. There's a huge problem in America today. There's a very large disconnect between teenagers and the adults who work with them. I'm looking to bridge that gap with real, raw, honest conversation. not held back by the chains of political correctness. You cannot solve a problem you do not understand. Want to understand teenagers today? Listen to this podcast. This podcast is for teens in the U.S. and Canada. To learn more, go to fatimabay.com/podcast or just look for Mindshift Power Podcast on any listening platform. I look forward to you being a faithful listener.